What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is Matt as a Hatter, aka Connor, and this is my GPC Season 4 Week 3 battle against Christian of the New Jersey Jump Fluffs. And a quick rundown of the team. This is Choice Banded Floatzel, and I think I speed creeped Timid or Jolly and Ferne, which he didn't bring. But that's everything barring Crobat, and he had Mega Magnetric, which was also a big problem. I don't know why I didn't bring it. So barring those two, same with Life Orb Starmie. This is specially defensive Rotom Heat. Like max special defense, it takes like 45 to 54 from a 252, I believe, modest. No, Timid. Landorus Eye Focus Blast, and then Hidden Power Ice uninvested does like 68 to 75. Mega Altaria Max Spadef again to switch in on mainly his Milotic, with Cotton Guard, Return, Roost, and Heal Bell, so it heals my team, gives it a little longevity, and just is just fat. Gligar is also fat. I mostly have special defensive mods because, as you can see, most of his mods are actually special attackers, so it would make sense to actually prep for those. And Scarf, Adamant, Staraptor, 2-hit KOs everything on his team, barring Granbull if like he switches it in, because then I'll be at -1 and it does like 33 to 41 with Double Edge. And Cresselia, it does 33-ish. Maybe more, maybe less, to max defense, max HP Cresselia with a Adamant Reckless Double Edge. But other than that, it 2-hit KOs everything. It 2-hit KOs defensive Milotic, and does just a crap ton to everything. So I lead with Staraptor here. He leads. Oh, that was on slow. My bad. We'll go normal. I lead with Staraptor. I U-turn out. Gligar is a pretty safe switch unless he carries Ice Beam, but I'm especially defensive, so I can tank those Heat Waves. And I use this as an opportunity to get up the rocks, and he goes for a Moonlight here. Yeah, that's what it was. And then I fire off a Toxic because his only Toxic switch in is a Crobat, and getting residual on Cresselia or Milotic or Landorus especially is just really nice. So he brings in the Milotic. Get the Toxic off on that. I have the free switch into Altaria here, and I think he goes for Hidden Power Grass here, expecting I think it was Hidden Power Grass, might not be sure. I mean, I resisted this, and obviously I think it was, I'm pretty sure. Oh well. I fire off a Return here just to see what his switch in is, and he brings in Cresselia, and it actually does a nice chunk. It does 27. That's not bad for max defense Cresselia. I switch back out into Gligar because it's just a free switch at this point. And he Moonlights again. I think I fire off a Toxic one more time just in case he tries to bring in something else. He brings in his Crobat. I go into Rotom Heat because that's about the only thing I had to force him out, and he doesn't actually have too many switches into Rotom Heat. So he turns out, he goes into Landorus, and here I'm like, oh boy, this is my moment to fire off a Hidden Power Ice, but I think he was scouting for it right here and switched into Milotic, and so he saw that I have Hidden Power Ice. I get some residual off on it, and here I go for a Volt Switch, and I forget what he goes into. I just had this battle, so I'm just tired, my bad. Okay, so he goes into Granbull. I Volt Switch out, does 33. I go into Starmie, and there is nothing on his team that really wants to take a Hydro Pump at this point, because Milotic is really weakened. Cresselia takes a nice and chunky 51%. Analytic, so of course it would do a lot, so I switch back out into Gligar because he can live another one. And here I think I go for another Toxic because it's just my best play overall. So that's what I do. He brings in the Milotic, and I don't know if he had Recover, but he never revealed it in this game, so Milotic just kind of went down. I go into Altaria here. He goes for Ice Beam. I chew it fairly well. And then he reveals that he's actually faster than this Altaria, which I guess is understandable because Milotic is pretty fast. I get off return just to get some chip damage, and I sack Altaria just because. No, I don't. Never mind. I go into Starmie because Milotic dies to toxic damage, and I get to keep my Altaria as fodder for another day. He uses this as an opportunity to go into Crobat. I'm predicting the U-turn or a Brave Bird or a Defog, so I go back into Rotom Heat because he can't touch it. He turns again, and I think he goes into Kyurem here. Yeah, that's what it was. And I think this was Specs Kyurem, either that or Scarf. It was choiced in some way, or he played it like it was. He goes for the safe Ice Beam because I wasn't staying in to take a Draco. So it was a good play on his part. I go into Starmie just to see if he's choice locked and fire off a Hydro Pump here, because he has literally nothing for it. Crobat goes down to Starmie. Then he brings in his Cresselia, and I calc this, and a Hydro Pump actually, this was a min roll. Like, it did 35.1% to, I believe it was 43 to the Cresselia, because it was max HP, max defense based on the damage that the other Hydro Pump did. So it was a very unfortunate roll. I really could have used Starmie. Like, Starmie could have cleaned up from here for the most part, and it would have given me a better differential. But that's about all that mattered. I go into Staraptor, fire a U-turn, because it gives me initiative, and if he wants to sack Crest, then he sacks Crest. I go into Floatzel because he has not much for Floatzel at this point. And he brings in Grand Ball, gets me at -1. I can't kill it from here, so I go into Gligar. He Rock Slides, predicting the Rotom Heat. And right here, I go for Roost, and he brings in a Landorus, and I calced it, and I live at HP Ice from a Life Orb Landorus, but he goes for Knockoff, so I don't know if this was mixed, or if it were just physical itself. I get a Toxic just to increase longevity, and I think I go for a Roost here as well, just to stall out the Landorus, because I needed chip damage on it. He goes into Kyurem, and right here, he Hidden Power what I presume is Water, because it was super effective, and my only other switch in was Rotom Heat, because I think he knew at that point it was defensive. So it was a safe play on his part, but I was just kind of sacking this, kind of seeing what he would go for, seeing what he would lock himself into. So he goes for Hidden Power Water, and I get another Toxic off on the Kyurem, and here I switch into Floatzel, because that's my only switch into a Hidden Power Water. And from the damage on this, I don't know, Floatzel's kind of weak, but it could have been Specs. Oh, actually it was Specs because I outsped it at the end of the game, so I fire off a Waterfall here because there's nothing stopping me from it, because Gramble dies to a Banded Waterfall, even at -1 after rocks. So he brings in Gramble. I fire off Waterfall, and Floatzel from here cleans up. And this is actually Floatzel's debut, which is really nice, and it actually is MVP of the team. So I guess that's pretty cheeky. It's a 3-0, and this match was very good against Christian. He played very well. Obviously, you know, I feel like I prepped a little bit better, because, I mean, he had a lot of coverage for things, but he couldn't really get past the triple especially defensive core that I had. And props to him. He brought all the hidden powers, you know, that he felt were necessary. I felt like he could have brought Mega Manectric over Milotic. I didn't really see the point of Milotic, but, you know, to each their own. And this is the first win for us in the GPC, so it's very exciting, and looking forward to many more. I'm hoping. This brought us our differential up to a -2, so we're not all the way down there. So maybe we can get positive next round. And yeah, I'll see y'all later, Hat Pack.